It is July. The golf courses are baking under heat from everywhere across the country, except maybe right down in the Gulf states where Andy fortunately is with us with power, by the way, after the hurricane came on shore. And you have found once again, Quiet Please Golf Podcast. I am Alan Depew. And as always, our panel joining us for the next hour, chatting golf, chatting all the latest news in the game. And I am joined on my left by Mr. Little Linksers. Also, I guess, are you a correspondent now, Brendan? What exactly are you?
Just a writer.
Just a writer. He's just a writer. And a very good writer. You can find him everywhere. To my bottom left, the aforementioned Mr. Andy Hydorn, golfing prowess from coast to coast.
Hurricane barrel survivor.
Hurricane barrel survivor. You notice I did expand your golfing prowess reach beyond just Houston this week. And as always, Bobby Baldessardi. Hello, Bourbon Bob. How are you?
I'm doing rain dances, try to get a little moisture on the turf.
Yeah, no doubt. It is hot. I mean, hot.
It's
Andy, how much rain you got?
Way more than we can handle. Old Cypress Creek is spilled over its banks onto the Champions Golf Club, and it's closed for business until further notice.
Crazy.
Can we still call it casual water?
It's extremely casual.
I think you can call it. You know what? And here, let me give you the other side of that, because I'm actually going to jump to that. I did this Memorial Day. I'm seeing a trend, so I need you and all of our listeners to kind of be my therapist on this. I did the most outlandish thing ever the other day, and I'll admit it. It got to be Saturday afternoon. I had one tee time after 3:30. Everybody was either at a beach, at a picnic, throwing back some beer someplace, but they weren't on my golf course. One tee time, and that one tee time was one player. I made the decision to allow our grounds crew. I shut down the remaining tees. We had the people on the golf course, and we got ahead and started watering. And here's where I'm going to go with this, because hashtag don't be that guy. And I'm not going to call him out by name, even though I've got it. I'm a golf nower, and he showed up and he played 18 holes. And he wanted to play I want to play the other 9, but I understand that all tee times are closed. This is insane. I'm with Golf Now. I said, oh, really? I know. I said, I know a lot of the senior management of Golf Now. Let's drop names. Who do we know each together? Oh, well, I shouldn't have said it that way. I'm not with Golf Now. Okay. So, you know what? Perspective. And there, thank you so much. I got that off my chest, guys. It's really been bothering me.
You feel better.
I don't blame you.
Have you ever closed the golf course, Bobby? Like, and a couple hours before, just for well, I had a reason. Gave my superintendent the chance to start watering.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
And Andy, have you ever had a hashtag don't be that guy?
Only several.
And Brendan, did you play any golf on 4th of July weekend?
No, but I actually taught on the 4th of July.
Nice. Very nice.
You can't neglect your students even on a holiday.
You cannot. That's absolutely the case. And you know what? That the holiday was Independence Day, as we all know. We celebrate the red, white, and blue. Andy, you know where I'm going with this. There is nothing more red, white, and blue than what happened this week. Keegan's in the house. Who won? Which one of you?
Shocking news of the year.
Which one of you three want to take this and start running with it?
I'll get on the tee first and hit, and then I may block it right, and I might need a mulligan. But this is such a different kind of selection than the PGA has done. Maybe since Arnie was selected as sort of a playing captain or something. I mean, you got to. Typically, it's somebody in their mid to late 50s, 60s. Pretty much the only thing Keegan has checked off the box is former PGA champion. And then after that, everything else is sort of like, what happened to the task force? What happened to all the meetings? Is this a knee-jerk reaction to Rome? What happened at that Ryder Cup? I mean, it's just, it's everything from weird to fascinating this is going to be really good or really, really, really bad, and really, really egg on the face, and really, really like WTF. And then I listened to most of the press conference, and then him saying he found out 2 weeks ago, like no interview, no nothing. Like that's really strange too. I don't know everything about it, and I know it from the inside because I worked at headquarters, and I know the methodology and how exhaustive the vetting process is, in knowing years out what's happening. And everything about it that I know from the inside is just absolutely strange. Could not be more weird.
Andy, is
Yeah,
it
I mean,
driven by Netflix?
I agree with all that Bobby said, and 100% I am on board with the theory that Keegan won himself the captaincy on Netflix. I
Yeah.
mean, I just think the way he reacted to it, you know, he wasn't a jerk. He was disappointed. He was crushed. I think a lot of people feel like he should have been there in Rome. That goes without saying. But I just think he gained so many admirers from that little episode on Netflix. And I think it's amazing that really that was probably the motivating factor to name him captain. And I thought it was super, super interesting that one of the people that gave him the news was Zach Johnson.
Yeah, without a question. Brendan, this is where I put the asterisk, the disclaimer, the make everybody aware, because I know you're going to want to say this. The PGA of America, who teach the game and are made up of 30,000 golf professionals and apprentice professionals across the nation, are not the PGA Tour players necessarily.
No.
They are different. The Ryder Cup is different.
It is.
Say you, Brendan.
Like everybody, even when I was watching on TV, the tour players were initially a little bit shocked. I mean, hell, like we already said, Keegan himself was probably a little bit shocked. But then as you let it sink in, you're like, that could be interesting. That could work out really well. And then you think, Luke, how old's Luke Donald? Anybody know? He's still
42, I think.
I was going to say 42, 43, yeah.
So Keegan's 38, 39, something like that. So this isn't far off from the strategy that the Euros took last Ryder Cup. The only concern I have is that if he makes the team to play. And he had said in his press conference that the talk was that the intention was for him to play too. That I'm concerned about. Otherwise, I think he'll do really well. And I was thoroughly impressed with his press conference. Like, we all love Keegan, like just how he carries himself, but we don't get to hear him speak as much as we did in this press conference. I was blown away with how mature and how just eloquently he spoke. It was impressive.
I mean, guys, one of the things that they always talk about when selecting the U.S. captain is how he's still involved. You know, you talk about like Freddie, you know, when Freddie's still involved with a lot of guys on the tour. You always hear that people talk about that. And Zinger's not that far removed from the tour. Is this, to your point, is this a complete shift in strategy, that it's somebody that's involved who's passionate about the game? Lean in, Andy.
Yeah,
go ahead, lean in, Andy.
It's definitely different. It's just fascinates me because from the inside, some years ago when I was there, this task force put this thing together, maybe overanalyzing every little thing, but it's, you know, what the heck, you know, if whatever's not working, then let's give it a try. The Luke Donald thing, I think, you know, it's a pretty good analogy there. It struck me today thinking about it too, that here's Keegan wins the PGA Championship at Atlanta Athletic Club, beats Jason Duffner in a playoff. Duffner comes back, I think it was the next year, wins PGA, they get Oak Hill, but then their careers kind of just went a couple of different ways. You know, thinking Duffner has stayed out there and he sort of bounces along and does respectable, but I don't know, just thinking about that today as far as
sits down, leans against the wall, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, Keegan keeps running up, were doing pretty well and then had that little plateau, little slump, and now gets motivated, starts to do better, wins a couple of events. Now he's Ryder Cup captain. I mean, he's I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. I think the connection to St. John probably helped. I don't know. I hope the venue, I hope the everything about it isn't too big for him, because that's going to be, I mean, that's going to be a hell of a place. You know, people have been thinking about this for years.
I mean, I may have a little different opinion on the value of the captain themselves, because I think it's such an overrated position. I think it's an honorary thing more than anything. And I know they try to do all the right things to give their team the best chance to win. But at the end of the day, it's the players who play well or the players who don't play well. And I think in team golf, momentum is an even bigger factor than it is in individual golf. So momentum, people can feed off of each other, and both negative and positive, I would say.
So do you think that's why he's a selection, is because he's so passionate? Is it purely his passion?
No, I think he's a selection because they feel like they owe him one. From not choosing him to play last time. And again, I respect every captain, and he absolutely, you know, deserves to be the captain. But at the end of the day, it's people love to call these captains his geniuses or failures, whether their players play well. And I just think that's way overdone. Are there things Zach Johnson could have done by maybe having his players play a little more golf in that period leading up to the Ryder Cup? Yeah, you can criticize that, but you know, it's still, when they tee it up on that Friday morning and those first matches go, and if you got momentum coming out of the box, you know, you're a great captain.
Well, I mean, aside from foursomes and four-ball pairings, which are largely driven by, to your point, largely driven by some analytics, and maybe somebody said, hey, you know, I want to play with so-and-so. What does the captain really do? BE?
The uniforms.
Oh, man, there's been some bad uniforms.
He's the one that everybody turns to look to when, you know, is a team on how to get them motivated again if they're kind of falling behind, or basically a cheerleader for the most part. But I think I was in Chicago for that Ryder Cup, and like, I think he can handle, to Bob's point, I think Keegan can really handle this situation. And I don't think, if you think about the match play, where he was playing Jimenez and they got into a little bit of a scuffle, I think he can handle the difficult situations, like something like that, if that was to come up.
I wonder if they had thought about Brooks Koepka at all. Maybe, maybe not.
I did
No.
love his answer about Liv, by the way. In the press conference, they asked him, you know, will you pick any Liv players? And he basically said, he goes, I'm picking the best players. I don't care where they play their golf. If they're, you know, from this country and they're in the top 6 or 8 or 10 players, he goes, 12, I'm picking them.
And
Looks like Brooks and Bryson are getting a call.
Bryson's second on the list right now. Still a lot of time, but
yeah, but I gotta say he's top 12.
yeah.
Bobby, any other insight from your connections?
Oh, just that I think somebody on the communications department is probably going to get in trouble because they screwed up with the little test, and when they put his name up on the billboard thing, and they're doing the technology or the technical run-throughs, and the word get out. It's not going to sit well inside headquarters, but you know, people make mistakes. So, but you know, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, think it adds, it's a little bit behind on what the PGA usually does when they try to name the captain and try to get him out there to do a lot of PR stuff, marketing stuff. Guarantee you Tiger wasn't interested in that at all. And Tiger's relationship with Seth Waugh probably played into that as well. So,
well, I was gonna go there. We all penciled Tiger in. Beth Page,
Yep.
U.S. home soil. I mean, I do actually think Keegan plays better with his passion for the New York fans in the grand scheme of things. We'll just try to word it that way.
Yep.
Tiger, I mean, I actually haven't seen I saw the reports. I didn't get to read them. What was this? Did he turn it down? Did he not turn it down? Did he?
Yeah, he turned it down.
Was there a reasoning behind that? I didn't read it either. Andy, did you?
He just said with all that he has going on,
yeah.
he goes, I'm too busy to take it on. And he goes, I'd love to be reconsidered when the time is right.
Yep.
So Tiger said did it the way Tiger does it, which is with class and politically correct.
Dignity.
Throw my hat in the ring the next time. We're partying in Ireland.
Do you think they'll take him?
I do.
Let me ask you guys this: our friend of the show, I should say, John Wood, being the team manager. Bobby, is that? I don't remember having that type of title before, team manager. Is that something new with this whole thought process?
That's definitely new. I think that was needed because of the interim thing with not having a captain.
Yeah.
They could have probably said interim space saver captain, came up with the phrase team manager. Yeah, there's never done that before, which was really interesting. But we're definitely going to get John Wood back on the show. Mark Bradley, Keegan's dad, that'll be a really good show coming up.
Did you hear that, Mike Padilla? John Wood calling John Wood back to the Quiet Please podcast. Thank you very much.
What does he bring to the table? Like how obviously he's been to several Ryder Cups. He's inside the ropes with the guys, but what do you think from his perspective that he's going to bring to the table?
Well, he has a very smooth voice.
Alan, and you're an assistant captain.
You mean John Wood?
Yeah.
I thought I was Colt.
Well, he's done the NBC thing and he's caddied. So, and I'm sure that they think he's a good, influence and a good personality and good to be part of the team.
They probably watched our episode or listened to our episode because
No.
it was a Ryder Cup special.
It was
See?
indeed. I was gushing over that little shot that Rory hit on like 16 or 17. It was like, yeah, it was all right.
Mhm.
All right, so we thumbs up, thumbs down. Keegan, good pick.
Yeah.
Double thumbs up. Bobby?
I'm going to hold off on 2 thumbs up, probably 1 up and 1 I'm thinking about it.
Fair enough. Let's talk about the golf course real quick. No time like 2 years out to talk about the golf course, but how are they going to set that thing up?
Before we go on to that, can I just make one last comment?
Oh, I suppose.
If our friend Lefty didn't blow up his whole world in the world of golf, he would have been the perfect captain for Bethpage.
Yeah. This would have been the year too, I think.
Yep. Anyway, just a short comment.
It's a solid point you just made there. Mr.
Solid
Ryan.
point.
Yes, a solid point. I mean, analytics, American team.
I think the course itself lends itself to the Americans. Just like Rome, that course lends itself to the Euros. I don't think they have to trick it up much. I wouldn't think. Have any of you guys played the black?
I've never.
I have
No,
walked the
neither have I.
black, and it's a big golf course.
Oh yeah.
It's big. Yeah, we did a drive, chip, and putt there, and I walked or drove a little bit of the course, and it's remarkable. It looks great. Yeah, I think to Brendan's point, I think it's going to fit the American team pretty well. They'll probably do some little tweaking maybe on like contouring of fairways or width or stuff like that. But I think it's going to work really. I think it'll be a great venue for that.
My favorite story about Bethpage Black is that I think it was Corey Pavin kept aiming for the crosswalk on number 1. Excuse me, the walk off from the tee, because he wasn't long enough to reach the fairway, so he was aiming for like 10-yard wide area.
10-yard, try like
10
2
feet.
yards.
That's funny. That's good stuff.
That gutty little Bruin, that guy.
Well, this has the potential to being the most raucous crowd in Ryder Cup history.
I think it's going to be out of control. I really do.
Over the top, like too much, you think?
I think it's going to look like waste management on steroids.
Oh, God, I hope not.
I do. I think you're going to have, and a couple of those holes have undulation. I mean, I'm thinking back next to the one par 3. I mean, people are going to be tumbling down hills, I think.
Well, it's such a unique tournament because I think sometimes people forget you only have 4 matches out there at a time. So the matches are sort of plug them along. You've got a lot of the golf course empty, a lot of the golf course, nothing, no action. And I've been at many of these Ryder Cups, working them and being a spectator, and people are just sitting around drinking, waiting for the team or the matches to come up. You throw in, hey, I was born in Tarrytown, New York. I've got that much New York in me, ironically. So, but you can throw in the kind of the New Yorker thing, and
Boston Bob was born in New York.
Yeah, there's a breaking news.
That makes 3 of us on this show born in New York, Alan.
Wow.
Where were you born, Alan?
I was born in Vermont.
Okay, so you got 3 New Yorkers here.
Yeah.
Wow.
The tables have turned.
Yes, they have.
Everything I've known about Bobby has been been shifted.
Well, I only spent not even a year. My dad got a head pro job back home, so
Hey, you don't have to explain it, Bobby. You Yankees
technically,
fan? 2 years for me.
Does Keegan wear a
Wait a
Yankee hat? Keegan's going to wear a Yankee hat.
And Christian is a New Yorker.
That's right.
What the hell?
I don't think Keegan wears a Yankee. I will be shocked. Well,
by the way, Keegan grew up in Woodstock, Vermont. I have you know. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yes. Anyway, to your question, B, I think it's going to be out of control. I think the beer tents, they're going to party them in, or bring them in on the shuttles. Somebody's going to be sneaking little airplane bottles of Fireball in on their pockets. And,
players?
Yeah, maybe. Yo, what you doing? Why you trying to hit that shot like that?
maybe bringing them in by drones and just dropping them from the sky.
Few mixers, that is.
I was just gonna say, if you bring in your drink, bring in the cue.
Yep.
That's right.
Premium mixer for your Ryder Cup experience.
The grapefruit mixer is like I'm hooked on that, Andy. By the way.
Oh, mine still hasn't gotten here yet, Bobby. So I couldn't.
Yeah, they're coming. They're coming.
I couldn't talk to you about that.
They're coming.
This would be a great time to talk about Q mixers, though, Andy. If you'd like to just give it a plug, shamelessly, of course.
You know, when 3/4 of your cocktail is a mixer, why would anybody skimp on the mixer?
Yeah.
You got to make sure that 75% of your drink tastes as good as it can possibly taste, is as healthy as it possibly can be,
Health.
and
yes.
therefore it'll make your mediocre vodka or bourbon or tequila taste just absolutely wonderful.
Mm.
It would make Smirnoff even taste good.
That makes a non-drinker want to have a drink.
Yep.
It's that good.
Hey, by the way, just for the record, I know this from some industry people. Smirnoff is one of the best vodkas in the business. It just happened to be marketed as a middle tier vodka and sells that way, but it is literally one of the purest vodkas out there. So Go Smirnoff.
All
Good
these
to know.
things, my mind is on overload.
I'm just telling you.
BE, if you throw something at me right now, I don't know if I can handle it.
But you can have a hibiscus ginger beer with Popov vodka, and you'd have the most delicious hibiscus mule you ever had.
I think I shall.
Can we take a pause and go make a drink?
Yeah.
Bring one back for each of us.
Yeah.
So, all right. Great play, great golf. Obviously, let's move on to the John Deere because those boys were on fire. And I mean, I don't even know who to start with. I mean, a rookie, a first-time winner, Clanton, top 10 last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Springer misses 4 out of 5 cuts, I think, this season, then shoots 59. 15-year-olds not doing 15-year-old things. BE, you teach the golf youth of America. What say you?
So I did an article over the weekend, I think it posted, and it was taking a tip from this Clanton kid who's just remarkable. Like these kids, it's not just him. You think about Oberg, you think about Oberg, you think about Miles Russell, you think about who
The kid from Auburn.
yeah. The winner of the American Express, Nick
Dunlap.
I mean, these, for whatever reason, we're seeing this crop of kids that are not cutting their teeth. Like, so it's the conventional thinking of becoming a winner or a contender on tour and just coming right feet to the fire. And it's remarkable, but there's a lot you can learn from that. And it's just the confidence. They're just oozing with confidence.
I have visions of Curtis Strange talking to a young Tiger Woods right now going,
Yep.
You'll learn. You'll
Right.
learn. Andy
The kid,
or Bobby, go ahead.
I was just saying, the kid Luke Clanton broke a record or tied a record or however you want to say it, that it hadn't been tied in 66 years since Billy Joe Patton had finished top 10 in 2 consecutive tour events. And that kid finished top 10, 2 consecutive tour events. I mean, that's pretty strong. You see going back, every now and then there'd be an amateur that would play pretty well, but there's been this avalanche of these amateurs and young kids playing so well. I think it's a whole combination. We've talked about it on the show before where you roll it back maybe even like 20 years and it's been building over time with kids with better equipment, better instruction early, better golf tournaments early, playing better golf course conditions their whole life instead of waiting to get on tour. And wow, the greens are great. I think the mental capacity is amazing. I think Andy and I, that one Facebook forum we're in, and I saw some of your comments to the guy. There was some interesting about the shooting at 59, and now it's not the most earth-shattering, shocking thing ever again. It's just like still wow, still amazing. But is it the Roger Bannister breaking the form in a mile?
I think it is.
Yep. I do
I'm
too.
very disappointed when people don't get my points.
I know, I get it. I know.
But that's such an interesting topic, right? And so for all the listeners to get kind of clued in on what we're talking about here, there's a post that basically suggested that with all the sub 60 rounds that are being shot right now, it's all due to the golf ball. And basically he was saying that it's the golf ball that's allowing this. And it just to me is such an incomplete way of looking at an issue. And if you look at something like this, are you going to consider the golf ball? Of course. Are you going to consider equipment? Of course. Are you going to consider fitness levels? Of course. Are you going to consider the belief in oneself? Of course. I mean, there's so many factors that contribute to it, but I do personally believe that there's something inside of us humans that once somebody else does something that's been unattainable, then a whole slew of other people are going to follow up and do that same thing. And that's a belief system thing.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind that that plays a big role in our abilities to achieve things.
Yep.
I completely agree. I mean, they've broken through the 60 barrier. And it's just, I hate to say this, Greg's maybe right. Who's going to shoot 54?
Yeah. I think it'll happen within the next decade.
It
Which
did
reminds me,
happen.
I have to, before we sign
On
off,
tour,
it
on
might be
tour.
it might be my final thought. I have to tell you about the golf outing yesterday because it put 54 to shame. But who's going to shoot the first 54 out there?
Well, Kim Jong-il already shot 54
Oh, that's right.
in the North Korean Open. So, you know,
Exalted ruler.
one day event.
Never heard from the caddy again, but
They could do the Willie Nelson with his golf course on his ranch.
Yeah.
That was a great line he made.
well, let's give a little shout out also to Davis Thompson. I mean,
Yeah.
he starts out with a 2-shot lead and suddenly it's like 4 or 6 or whatever it was at some point, and he was just on cruise control and a nifty little shot off the edge of the cart path.
How about he comes out of the gate birdieing 4 of his first 5 holes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever thought that he might crumble under the pressure, he answered that question pretty quickly Sunday morning.
He may have putted better than I do, Andy Heidorn.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
You're right up there with Fax. Like you and Faxon, I like, although you look like Colt Knost, you have the touch of Brad Faxon.
Boss of the moss.
You can only make every putt that you look at, Alan.
That's right. It's the Wayne Gretzky theory.
Yep. You can't make the putts that David Thompson made. You can only make the ones that you
Is
made.
is he like the next up and coming young gun Bobby? I mean, 25 years old. Never won. Now he wins. Knocked on the door. I mean, they're just getting younger, guys.
Yeah, it used to be you had to learn to fail, learn to not win, and then in your 30s you win, and then that threshold got broken, and then it kept getting younger and younger. Obviously, Tiger factor, but they're all so good. And they're playing top level, really strong competition from a young age, and so they get used to when we hear the phrase, "Can they win out there?" Well, they've been winning for their whole life. They have a winning mentality, the winning mindset, winning culturally, course management, whatever you want to call it. So I think it just becomes, all right, hey, I'm playing golf. The conditions are great. I get a wonderful food. I get a courtesy car. Like there's some things that are great, but I'm going to go play golf. And I don't think they get phased as they used to.
Well, Miles didn't get a courtesy car. He couldn't.
So, well, you can't drive. Yeah.
Those are legal issues right there.
Oh.
But look, I think to your point, Bob, I think they're just doing all this earlier. Like Davis Thompson's paid his dues. I mean, he's been knocking at the door for a while. Has been an unbelievable player for his first 2 years of professional golf. But it just seems like they're getting there quicker. And to your point, they're getting there quicker because they're groomed for this. They've been playing highly competitive golf for a long time.
These feeder tours, whether it's at the junior level or then you get into the Corn Ferry. I mean, we had Kevin Roy on us, and he's like, man, you just fired every pin, because if you don't go see Turtle Low, you don't cash a check out there.
Yeah.
And for him, it took the first number of events. He's like, man, you can't fire every pin on the big tour, except to the John Deere.
That was an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
And look, back to that comment or the topic we were talking about shooting these low sub 60 scores. I mean, these guys are playing these golf courses that are just supremely long.
Yeah.
And like playing 500-yard par 4s, and it just I mean, like, they didn't have those back then. Like, if you had a 440-yard par four, it was a monster.
Yep.
It was a monster. And now, I mean, these guys are just tipping it out like at unbelievable yardage numbers. So it
So-
just blows my mind.
So where I grew up in Virginia, I worked at a club down there, South Wales. Shout out to South Wales. 11, 12, and 13 was just, well, their version of Amen Corner. But it was 450, 495, 440 over a creek. And I can remember standing back on the tee with a balata ball and a persimmon wood going, who built this thing?
But your 495 was a par five.
4.
No.
Swear to God.
That's
Back
massive.
when?
Huh?
When?
You back in, this would have been 91 to 92.
Well,
You'd hit it out to the top of the hill, and then it would be you'd have this downslope where you're holding like a 4-iron in your hand, maybe across a creek to the green. It was the most. Oh, and by the way, there was a cemetery on the right hand side. I guess that's where we all went. Unbelievably hard hole, just gargantuan. And today
we had a
they drive a
hole.
wedge.
We had a hole at my home course up in central New York that it was only like 6,200 from the tips, but our fourth hole was a par 4, like 465. And it was, you tee off here and there's up to the flat, and then there's another up and down. So you'll get those occasional holes, but nothing like, to Andy's point, like today, what you see.
Well, they at the Sony, 7,200 yards out in Hawaii, and they're like, "Oh, this is a really short course for the guys this week."
yeah.
Par 70.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you could easily add by having par 72, you can easily add, 300 more yards to a golf course.
and when you're putting the peg in the ground, BB, at those courses, you have to shoot. I mean, if you don't shoot 20 under, you're not top 25.
Yeah, you're getting like NASCAR, you're getting passed and lapped. You're not going to make it. I was just thinking about the change in distance and the evolution of everything we're talking about. And this week in my PGA junior golf camps, one of the young boys shows up. The dad says, "You're going to camp, you need some golf clubs." So the dad puts a set of Ben Hogan Apex irons from 1982, maybe, in the bag. A Ping Pal that's, Ping Pal 6, I think, which was somewhat reasonable. And then get ready for this, an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful set of blonde Ping I2 woods.
Wow.
I looked at the mother, I said, we're going to use everything different than the putter, I think. But they don't know what they don't know. And the young boy's 12. He's really, really sweet and nice and doing the best he can. But I saw those woods and I went, wow, 2 things. One, the other kids looked at these woods like they were aliens. They're like, what is that? And 2, I said, this is what I try to do with all my golf instruction and just culture. I said, hey kids, you see this little black stuff? It's called whipping. And when I was a kid, we had to whip the club. And here's what we did. And they're looking at me like, oh, does that do it on this club here? They're pointing to metal woods. And I go, no, these days we don't do that with metal woods. But back in my day, when I was a kid, and I said the absolute worst club to have to whip was a Ping wood because of the thick, kind of goofy little hosel.
Yeah.
So it was a great teaching moment.
Was that when you were growing up in New York?
That was after 9 months in New York. I moved north. Needed a ride because I was 9 months old.
He said, "I'm out of here."
Did
gone.
you hitchhike?
Yeah, in my stroller.
Yeah. So those babies were laminated maple too.
Yeah, they were in great shape. They're very pretty, and the other
Ping-
kids were like,
They
wow.
never made a persimmon wood. All their
No.
stuff was laminated.
My old wood sit in my office, and every once in a while, just for giggles, we go out to the 10th tee and see if who can actually still swing them.
You're
It's
playing
crazy.
with an entirely different golf ball there. That's the thing.
True.
There are people that have like old Balata balls still.
Oh
I
yeah.
have some. I've got some.
That like play those kind of old events with
Well, no, hey,
Chris Edmonds.
I'll give a shout out. I think it's Chris McIntyre. I think is big with the Hickory Society, and he actually has created a as much as possible a gutter percha equivalent.
Mm.
And I had one around here someplace. We did a hickory shafted event at Yardley one time with balls the whole 9 yards. Tried to play off their heritage from 1928, and it was intriguing to try to play some shots with those. I found the woods to be the hardest. The irons because it was more handsy.
Did you tee it up with a pinch of sand?
I did not. Did not tee it up with a pinch of sand.
Well, that was one of the cool Bryson videos I watched.
Yeah.
Where he was playing Garrett with a set of like hickory shafted irons.
Yep.
And some steel shafted persimmon headed wood.
He was incredible. The way he hit those gloves.
He's like, I just can't turn this over.
I want to give a little foreshadowing. We were having a good conversation, folks. If you're listening or watching us, we may try to take this act live. BB, this may be down the road a little bit, but we want to have some good interaction with you, our listeners. So we are thinking about taking that live. We'd love to hear your feedback on that. And just if we're going to blow it up or go Sea Turtle Low or, want to know. I can tell you where I went Sea Turtle Low this week, and I got to throw this one out to Andy Hydorn as we get to the 18th tee. We're not on the green yet. So yesterday I played in a charitable event, and I need to preference. I even put this on X. I tagged Lou Stagner on this. I had to ask the question. I just want to know I'm not a sore loser because I really don't care. We had a team in a 2-person, two balls out of 4 Shamble. Anybody want to take the guess on the winning score?
Okay, so Shamble is define
Shamble, folks. My apologies. Shamble is everybody tees off. You choose the best location in the fairway, and you play your individual ball the rest of the way into the hole.
Is it a net score?
And then they had a net score. It's a great way to keep everybody for a tournament. If you're looking to do it as a coordinator, if you want everybody to play their own ball, it's a great way to keep everybody involved in the game. But it was a net score. This was the net winning score. Does anybody want to take a guess unless you saw my X post already, in which case you already know?
Net.
I mean, I want to say 15 under would be outrageous.
I was going to say 17. I was going to go deeper.
Net 2 balls of 4 Shamble.
So it's like total score, right?
What's that?
So
yeah, 1 score for the team.
No.
Well, there's 2 scores.
So I make net 3. Bobby makes net 2. We scored a 5, but so we'd be 3 under on that hole.
Right.
Okay, so 6 under. That's my guess.
So I was thinking like 30 something under.
So we need to get out the odds people from the USGA. That would be a 1 in 12.5 million opportunity if that happens.
Well, you would think that, Andy. You would think that. But no.
We strike lightning in a bottle here.
But when the group came in that one of our guys happened to know one of their guys, and then the guy goes, "Oh, we're 40 under."
There you go.
And my guy in the group goes, "You don't have a chance." Minus 78.
Come on.
Yeah.
So somebody else was.
I thought Andy froze there for a second.
I did. So somebody shot 78.
Minus 78.
So the 40 under just got nipped.
Just squeaked past him.
Like, how is that possible?
I don't know.
It's plausibly possible, but it's hard to
You
fathom
have to
that.
eagle every hole
Yeah.
With a
plus some.
handicap that is ridiculously
And
high for that.
and playing your own ball after a tee shot.
Yep.
But you could have a 32
Would you like to
handicapper.
take a guess what came in second?
Not the 40?
Not the 40.
Was it their playing partner?
Minus 70. And then we got to the minus 40.
All righty then.
And there was no Dixon golf involved.
It wasn't a Little Linksters charity thing.
There will be adjustments next year.
So I got to throw that one out there. I'm not naming any names. I'm just saying things that make you go.
Well, you know what I think, Alan? I think our friend Yip Strickler needs to know about this.
He does. He does.
Oh my God.
We need to get Yip in there, like Superman.
I mean, like this would be the perfect, just raw meat for a tiger. for
Yeah,
the old Yipper.
but I like the event. I mean, Yip will eat them apart.
As he should.
All right. New York Minute, Bob Baldessari, you're up. Final green.
Well, walking up on the
You're
green
crawling. You're crawling towards Boston.
walking up on that green turf that is getting baked out this summer. Just thought we need to give a standing ovation to the golf course agronomy teams that are out there slaving it in the hot sun, no matter where they are. They're just amazing what they do. I mean, to try to get the right people with the right mindset to wake up at 5 a.m. and go out on a golf course and mow and do all the work that needs to be done on the biggest asset at a facility money wise. It just never ceases to amaze me, and whatever we do wherever I've been, to applaud and thank the superintendent and the whole agronomy team. They're just amazing. This summer in Kentucky, it's been wicked hot, and it's been wicked hot around the country. So thank you to all the golf course maintenance teams out there.
Here. 5 o'clock, they're sleeping in.
Yeah.
My boy pulls in the lot at 3:30 every morning. God bless him. BE, final green, final thoughts.
I'm gonna give a shout out to two of my players. One I actually watched live as he played at Enjoy, where it used to be the BC Open and now the Dick's Sporting Goods.
Great track.
A Central New York event, a junior event up there, and he won that, so it's his first win of the year. And he's playing up a division. He's playing in the 14, 15, and he just turned 13. So he's playing well. He's listening to everything that I have to say, and it makes his dad mad because it's a lot of the same things that his father tells him. I said, and that's the point of a coach. You let me be the good or bad guy, and you just be the dad and cheer him on. I mean, that's the role of the parent. And then another shout out to one of my juniors, Sebastian, who was a little nervous about playing in the Florida State Junior Boys Championship. Big event, 160 player field. And the 16 to 18, if you didn't shoot 2 over, you missed the midway cut. So that's a lot of good play by junior golfers, and Sebastian missed it by 1. So he was a little bummed out, but he still played well at 3 over.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Wow.
Andy?
All right, I'm gonna do a quick 3-putt on the last green here. So putt number 1, Jordan Spieth. Like, I'm starting to really worry about his game and whether he's going to get anywhere near. I mean, I thought he was getting there like last year, the year before, but he's kind of back wallowing away in the middle of nothing again right now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. I just want to make this comment because it bothers me so much. Every time I look at Jason Day and Rose Zhang wearing this Malbon golf stuff, it's horrible. It looks terrible. Just because you're cool and just because you're hip doesn't mean that you can just kind of make anything you want and people are gonna think it's the next greatest thing. Because what they're wearing is just god awful in this 60-year-old person's opinion. And finally on this,
You should put on your Sunday Reds.
yeah, I just on that last point you made, Alan, I just think there has to be a solution for charity golf. There has to be. And somebody can try to prove this to me, but why not play two foursomes in the same group in a
Yes.
scramble?
Yep.
Like you can't tell me that that's gonna cause the round of golf to be longer. It doesn't. But you gotta fix this because as we laugh about 78 under and 70 under and all that other stuff, it's not really that funny anymore. It's become, it's become kind of a ridiculous reality of charity golf. And I know the number one goal is charity, but at the end of the day, people are there playing golf and they want to compete too.
Yeah, the charity obviously is first and foremost the goal. I think we've all been around it enough, but these charities do some great work, and to have and I'm not commenting on this group at all, but I'm just saying we've all seen it. Everybody jokes about it. Oh, we're about to get pencil whipped. If the charity then loses participants because of people that are assholes and are cheating,
Right.
because let's face it, there's 20% of the people that are there actually are competing. The rest of the people there are probably drinking and having fun, and they're there to support it.
It's a danger. It's a danger to the game, I think.
You that 20% on a 140 player field.
Yep.
You're down at that. That's the difference between making good money for the charity and not making good money for the charity. So I agree with you, Andy. That's why any kind of club event, I always only do two-person teams. Just so I refuse to do 4-person teams.
And then don't let them play with their buddies.
That's correct. Yep. So my final thought is, actually, I'm going to give a shout out to something that's really cool because it came up in conversation with the Riley Plitz, our PGA, LPGA head golf professional. Shout out to Riley, who's back in Canada right now. We started talking about people to introduce to the Little Linksters Best Swing Contest. And I'm actually going to give a promo for that by giving my time back to BE. Tell everybody where they can find it because you got some cool judges this year.
Littlelinksters.com, up in the top section, there's a tab of competitions, programs on it. You'll just go to swing contest. This year we've got Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, a bunch of teaching pros.
Sir Nick?
Sir Nick too. So we've got 3 Masters champions, probably some of the most prolific Masters champions of all time, and teaching pros from around the world. It's just sometimes
anybody on this podcast we know?
Bobby Baldessari. He is on the judging panel this year. And
Nice.
Just so you know, Bobby, there is some hate mail that comes every once in a while, every year. The point of this contest, I have to say this, Alan, so I'm going to take a couple more seconds. It's not about your kid being better than the next kid. It's about the experience, kids getting out there, sharing their swing, sharing their passion for the game. Yes, there's winners. We have to teach that to kids. There's winners and losers, but don't be a sore loser. That's my final
Don't be
thought.
that guy.
Don't be that kid.
Don't be that parent.
Hashtag don't be that kid. All right, there you go. Little Linksters. We'll see you next week.